Hello and welcome to day 2. This is just going to be a very short update. I don't have very much to say because I haven't done very much, to be honest. I spent most of today just trying to work through the last few hours of that Michel Thomas course. It's quite an extensive course, so we're talking, a decent 4-5 hours of work on that just today. I don't think you're supposed to do the whole thing in one sitting. I think most people probably do an hour here, an hour the next day, etc. So yeah, I've probably done 6-7 hours of that since yesterday. So I'm quite tired. But it has been useful because I had this suspicion that the course wasn't going to do anything about the Greek past tense, which I've looked into in the past and found quite complicated. But it did actually go on to that. There's a whole section of the course just about the past tense, which I'm very glad about, and it's cleared up a lot of my confusion about that. It's still kind of complicated. There's still a lot of irregularity to it, but it's much simpler than I thought it was. One of the most challenging features of the Greek past tense is that there is necessarily a change in the stress of the verb. The rule is that when you're using the past tense, the stress always goes on the antepenultimate syllable. So, not the last syllable, or the syllable before the last, but the syllable before the last. So yeah, I think that's going to take a little bit of practice. Also, having continued with the course for a couple of hours, I found that a couple of things I said yesterday were not actually right when I was practicing my Greek before. You may remember that I said that the course doesn't deal with things like my name is such and such. But wouldn't you know it, I listened a little longer and they do actually cover that very, very briefly. So yesterday, when I said Ime Ibrahim, that was okay, that was correct, but there's a better way of saying that. So if you want to say your name, you can say Meleni Ibrahim, which literally means they call me, or they say me Ibrahim. Because lene there means they say. I can't remember the full conjugation of that verb. It's a little bit complicated. The verb is leo, I think. Or is it leo? Again, stress is just a bit of a nightmare in this language, so that's going to take a little bit more practice. Another one of the 4 things I said yesterday was not correct. I said at one point, "Θέλω να μιλάω ελληνικά καλά," which, sounds impressive, but it's not right. So the problem there is, milao is not correct. It should be miliso. Miliso. So, let's try it again. Θέλω να μιλήσω ελληνικά καλά. Right? I want to speak Greek well. So the problem there was that I had a confusion about the correct subjunctive. Now, you probably have some understanding of the subjunctive. Lots of languages like French, Spanish, Italian, and many others have a subjunctive mood for their verbs, which is a special conjugation, let's say, that's used for wishes, desires, and some other situations that vary from language to language. In Greek, if you want to say something like, I want to do this, I want to do that, in English, we would use the infinitive form of the verb, to do, to speak, to whatever. But in modern Greek, there is no abstract infinitive conceptual form like that. So instead, you have to say something along the lines of, I want that I speak Greek well. And that requires you to use the subjunctive form of the verb. Now, a lot of the subjunctive forms that you see in Greek are actually exactly the same as the indicative forms. So the normal forms you would use when just making a standard sentence. What I didn't realize was that milao, which means I speak, is an exception to that. So you cannot say na milao. You have to say na miliso. Na miliso. So now we know. Now I know, now you know, everyone knows, and we're much happier for it. Now, what else? What else have I been doing? I've spent a little bit of time studying vocabulary, but probably not enough. My focus has just been finishing that Michel Thomas course. As I said before, very glad to have it. I'm very glad that I've been using it because I do feel like I'm building that strong foundation. But probably from tomorrow, vocabulary will be my major focus. Another thing that I did today was to download and install the HelloTalk language exchange app for my phone, which I've used in the past. It's quite good. But now I'm going to use it to try and find people to speak Greek with. And hopefully in the next day or two, I'll be able to find one or two people who can just start having a little bit of a chat with me. I was even brave enough to leave a little comment on someone's post in Greek. And I won't share that with you because looking back at it, again, it wasn't entirely correct. But I'm giving it a go. I'm putting myself out there. In the past, I've actually been quite reluctant to start speaking to people before having quite a strong foundation in a foreign language. But this time, I'm going to try and start speaking a little bit more earlier. Partly to build my confidence and partly to, try to build upon that foundation again just from a very early stage so that core vocabulary and that core grammar is just fixed in my head. So, like I said, in the next day or two, I want to try to have a very, 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 very basic conversation with someone in Greek. Very basic, just like, hello, how are you, where do you live, what are you doing? And I just want to see how far I can take that. I'll even see if the other person is willing to let me record them. And if they are, maybe I'll be able to share that with everyone watching here. Both of you. I know there's only 2 people watching this, but early days. Alright. Thanks guys. You take care now. See you.